Hello, Boxy here, and welcome to an episode of Why It Works. This is a series where I will invite players who have shown a mastery over Destiny PvP to talk about their playstyle and how it works. Today, our guest is the J-Man. Tell us a bit about yourself and your background in Destiny PvP.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's J-Man, kind of just your typical lifetime gamer. I've always played Bungie shooters like Halo, and when Destiny came out, I just went all in and have loved the full game from D1 beta till today, especially the PvP side. So that's me.
What are some of the key things you look for in PvP engagements?
Well, yeah, the main thing I kind of want to talk about today in my clips is, I guess the concept of map control. I think when people hear map control, they might understand like the basics, but I think there's a lot of very strong points that can be made, or pointers rather, that can help people understand like where they should be positioned, based on like their teammates, where the enemies are, where the objective is, and kind of how the map is just designed. And those four things will really dictate when you should take an engagement or not. So this is a clip from Bannerfall. In fact, all the clips that I'm going to be showing are rounds of trials. And what I try to do at the start of every round is, one, I want to make sure that I have kind of like line of sight of the capture point. So I always try to get somewhere out in like the middle and use like some type of movement tech to get there sooner. So I typically like to play around Mohawk here. And the reason for this is, one, like I mentioned, I have line of sight of the objective towards where the heavy spawns. I also have multiple lanes that I can cover and lock down like slower opponents that are trying to get out. So we obviously have like like the boxes out here. There's folks who can come through the doorways that I'm kind of checking now, and you can also like find people under the arch. I just want to take it back a second here, because what I'm also trying to focus on, I want to see my radar for a second. I'm also trying to focus on my teammates' positions, because that's going to kind of influence where I'll end up pushing. If I see that some of the enemies are going towards them and they're kind of in a 2v2, and I can find someone isolated like on the outskirts of the map, that's typically something that I'll want to push. Because if I can win that 1v1, that means I can quickly kind of like dash back to my teammates and support them. And all of this stems, from controlling the map. So I have a great position on Mohawk here. That enemy ends up wanting to not engage, so that gives me this opportunity to play in a 3v2 here. And map control doesn't mean that it's always Mohawk. Like, this is me controlling the map here too, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be in the center. But I ended up pushing an engagement where I had teammate support from like the middle, and was able to isolate someone based on like all the interactions that have happened thus far. I think from here, really the main objective is locking down these enemy orbs that we have down. I'm collapsing a little bit here and playing overly aggressive just because I know my teammates are flying in. But in the back of my mind, like always, are downed orbs, So we get this first one here. This becomes basically the objective, right? Like, more important than the capture zone. It's keeping this Guardian down and just playing at player advantages. So I think that sums the clip up for Bannerfall, and definitely sets up the next clips and how they'll kind of sound. All right, so this is a similar, yet somewhat different type of situation on Wormhaven. All like the standard rules that we talked about in the last clip still apply. You know, we want line of sight of the objective. We want to see where the enemy positioning is. We want to see where our teammate positioning is. But this one's a little bit more interesting because the opponent has a bubble, and I'm also about to have a well. And really, in my opinion, the way that I'm viewing this is a race to the center. That's our map control here. On the objective, we want to get our supers down. And what I see as like a common mistake that a lot of folks would do here is they would probably get to around like this point, and instead of really pushing into the map to get control of the center, they'll probably passively play here, not playing with confidence, not playing with aggression, and just try to hold an angle. And what's ultimately going to happen there, if you don't get aggressive, is the bubble is going to lay that down, get down a barricade, spray the floor with Wither Horde, like all that stuff, and it's going to be really difficult to get in. So I slide in, and now I'm trying to assess what the enemies are doing, because I don't just want to fly into a passive team that's just like holding the lane. So I see here through glass, I love like these glass windows in Wormhaven because they give you so much information, but you can see here that the enemy team is definitely pushing and fighting. So it's officially a race, and I get down the well. Now, something that I forgot to mention here is I'm playing a little cheesy and put on conditional finality. So it's a little bit of a cheese to end this. You know, we end up getting like the full team defeated with basically just a busted shotgun. But I think the more important piece to all this is the lead up to it. You know, understanding to push through and really play with confidence and get to the center in this race, and also taking every opportunity you can to assess what the enemies are doing, so that you can play off that reaction. Also, always trying to keep my radar in mind. I see that my teammates are actually coming to back me up, which gives me even more incentive to jump up here. You can see they're already in my well. And what's nice about this is, like, at the bare minimum, we want our teammates to get the orbs. Like, the well is a good counter to the bubble if you have something like Wither Horde or conditional like I do here. But it also creates the opportunity for my teammates to get closer to their super. You can actually see we now have bubble based on that. And we ended up going on to win this game despite being down 3-2 here.
Can I just say how much I enjoy using conditional finality in PvP?
It is the most satisfying shotgun, and I think out of like all the super strong things in the game, I think like I have the least problem with conditional, you know? Like, yeah, I feel like
if you guys haven't gotten it from the raid yet, I highly recommend going after it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, so worth it. So worth it. Very satisfying. All right, so this last clip is on Burnout, and it is the weekend where they had the weird spawns for Dominion. You basically spawn right in front of each other, and in my opinion, that makes getting control of the map first like even more important, because there's so much chaos going on. One of the things I forgot to mention is with wherever like your map control is, with your viewpoint on the objective, understanding of enemy and teammate positions, you also want to make sure that you have a good bit of cover and some type of escape route. So for this, we'll see I quickly dash up into center, and I'm actually gonna be a little cheesy here and use heat rises, because what I can do is I can just float up and use this entire pillar here as a way to dip in and out of cover. You can actually see that someone else, it looks like they're floating up too. You can see the bottom of their dress there. But with this, I get hit. I think actually by the floating warlock. You can see my health go down, and I have to make a split decision because I'm already, down a full burst of health here, and I can die quickly. So I'm taking a little bit of a leap of faith here and hoping that this Titan has no idea that I'm floating above them. If I don't try to make a push here, I'm kind of just like out in the open and ready to die because I have no health. So I'm trying to put out damage no matter what here. In case I do die, at least I contributed. So we're gonna float up. Luckily my estimation was right, and poor Nick here had no idea I was floating. And now there's a couple of things that I'm going to do here. First, I want to regain my health using my Phoenix Dive, but I'm also using the Phoenix Dive to 1-3 peek and look at my radar. And what we'll see as we're going down, I see that based off my first pick, our blueberry here is just flying in. And that gives me the confidence after healing that I can push off of this and play a 3v2 with my teammates. And this is us, you know, doing all the things that come back to like the pointers that we make controlling the map. Like we have good angle on the objective. We understand where our teammates are. Like we're watching our teammate push through the mid door, getting aggressive with us. We're keeping eyes on the orbs that we got down from first pick. We're playing in a place where we have cover and ways to escape. All leads to situations like this where we can get a first pick and win a 3v2, all stemming from controlling the map.
You know, to your point, I'll never forget, somebody told me once when I was still trying to get better at the game, they were like, "You're too passive." And you know, at the time I was like, but isn't that how you're supposed to play? You're supposed to be passive, you're supposed to stay alive. And it's like, one day it just clicked and I was just like, I lose map control if I'm too passive.
Exactly.
So like, I really like that you're covering that. Like that is something that like I cannot stress enough. Like I personally helped me so much just learning how to step forward and still stay alive, of course, like, but just learning how to take more engagements and just not be at the back of the map with the sniper rifle.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And you know, I think it's important to note too that it's not just holding W too, you know. So a lot of folks kind of like, they hear the advice and they're like, yo, you're playing too passive, like you got to play more aggressive. And then the next round they run straight out there, you know, and get beamed by a sniper or pulse rifled, and they're like, see, that's why I play passive. And it's like, well, you know, you got to do the things that we talked about, like in this video, right? Like you got to get yourself in a place that's got cover, but where you can do damage, and you have a route to the objective if you need, or a route to support your teammates. Like you want a spot that's going to give you flexibility, and you want to play off that. You know, you don't just want to kind of sit and spawn and kind of bait your teammates out. You really got to like hit all those areas, and that's where the improvement comes in. You know, that's how you become like a top player.
100%. I'd have to completely agree with you there. Well, thanks for coming on and doing the clips. Next thing I'll ask you is, do you have any final thoughts for people trying to get better at the game?
You know, really find a play style that you feel comfortable with and stick with it. Like obviously there's so many different ways to play Destiny. You know, you can be a sneaky hunter, you can be a floaty warlock, you can be a aping titan, and you know, amongst other things. Don't feel that you need to go hard on the meta. Find something that's comfortable with you, and just find a way to output the most damage as possible while not dying as much. You know, that would be my last bit of advice on top of everything else we discussed today.
All right. 30 seconds. Tell us where to find you on social media.
At the JManX everywhere. Keep it nice and easy.
All right. All of that will be in the description below. And before we go today, we do have something special to talk about. Would you like to lead us into that?
Yeah, of course. So on August 19th at 12 p.m. Eastern, that's noon, I'm hosting a Destiny times Halo crossover tournament. It's basically what we're doing is we're playing in Halo on Destiny maps that have been created using their Forge, and there's a whole bunch of different settings that are being modified that kind of feature both sandboxes and playstyles from both games. And if folks are, you know, interested in learning more about that, we'll have the event Discord tag below as well.
Well, thank you for coming on and teaching us a little bit about map control and giving us some pointers. And as always, I will see you in the Crucible, Guardian.